Today we're going to talk about political participation. This will really be like one of the easiest sets of notes that we've ever done, probably. This is all pretty common sense for you guys because these are the ways that normal people participate in politics. You guys have done a lot of these things. What we see in the picture here, this is an example of like a town hall meeting kind of thing. Attending a town hall would be an example of political participation. Down the bottom, we see maybe a protester. Going to a protest would be political participation. So we're going to look at all the different ways that people may choose to participate in politics. My favorite part of every day is the objective. Today we are going to describe the ways that the public can participate in politics. Very, very simple. We're going to look at conventional and unconventional forms of participation. We're going to look at all the different ways people can participate in politics, because the main thing we want to be able to do is we want to be able to explain the ways that the public can impact policymaking. So we'll be answering a very simple question today. How do people participate? So we're going to start just going through the basics of the idea of political participation. We've got people voting. We've got people protesting here. We're going to talk about reasons why people would choose to do this, reasons why other people would choose not to do any of this, and we're going to talk about what exactly political participation means. All right, so if we're going to define political participation, it's really broad. We're talking about any activity at all that affects or involves politics. So anything in the political sphere. This could be as simple as voting, could be as like unconventional as terrorism. Like terrorism is a form of political participation as well. So there's a wide range of activities that would fall under the umbrella of political participation. Since we're in a democracy, we encourage participation, and political participation is seen as a good thing. It's like necessary for the government to function. And so in a democracy, this is something that we value, we want to make possible, and we want to encourage people to do it. So for political participation to take place, this is what's important here. It's going to require first the opportunity. Like, look in the picture there. You have to register to vote. So, like, that kind of thing is what we're going to look at. Like, the fact that, like, you have to, like, meet some guidelines and stuff might limit the opportunity. It's going to require effort, right? We'll look at, like, reasons why people choose to do this or not. And so that's going to be, like, up to the individual. And it's going to require motivation. And motivation might come from the individual themselves, or, like, they might find motivation from an outside force. Like, maybe even a candidate, like, motivates them to do something. But all these things are necessary. They've got to have a chance to participate. They've got to want to participate. And they've actually got to put in the work to participate in some way. All right, let's talk about the reasons why people choose to participate. This is really important. We're going to have to be able to explain like why a person would decide to do something. So here's several of like the main factors that would cause a person to participate. So first would be like idealism, or like their ideology. Like if people have a like strong belief in something, like maybe I really think this policy is important, it might motivate me to go vote for a person who supports that policy, right? So the first one's pretty basic. Like you just have a particular idea or a belief that you feel very strongly, and so you need to participate. Like that's one of the main things that like encourages people to like motivates people to protest, right? You believe so strongly in something that you're gonna go outside and like march around and like scream and try to like get attention of other people so that they'll feel strongly too. Another reason that people would feel that they need to participate, or like people might decide to participate, is because of responsibility. People feel like it is something that you are supposed to do, particularly in a democracy. You've been taught your whole life that voting is so important. And so when it comes time, when you have that first opportunity to vote, you probably do feel a little sense of responsibility to like go participate in the election. You might feel responsibility if like there's a protest that is of particular like importance to the safety of your community. You might feel responsibility, like wealthy people feel responsibility to like donate to campaigns and stuff like that. So like responsibility is a totally normal reason why people choose to participate. Self-interest, like just kind of a selfish reason is also a reason for people to choose to participate. Vote you decide to vote for a candidate because they're going to do something good for you. You decide to protest because like the change would like benefit you. um, so this is like a really common motivation for people to go out and participate in a bunch of different ways. And the last one is just like pretty basic, but like enjoyment. Like people like to be politically engaged. Like maybe people like to go to town hall meetings, like to organize campaigns. They like to do this kind of work. And this is another reason that like gets people motivated and acting and participating in politics. Just as it is important for us to understand the reasons why people choose to participate, it's also important for us to be able to explain reasons why people don't participate. Like, we're going to have to do a lot of talking about like why people don't vote. And so like these are a lot of reasons why people would choose not to participate in different ways. The first of those is just like they're content or they're satisfied with the way things are. Like, if politics doesn't really impact your life in any way, or like bad policies aren't impacting your day to day life in any negative way, like you don't really have a lot of reason to participate. Like it's not worth your time or effort to like go do anything. Like if there was something to be upset about, then you might get up and act or vote or something. But people that are like, really well off in the current situation and don't have a lot of day to day worries, like that's they're good. They don't need to go participate in any way. Having the freedom not to do so is an important part of democracy. Like we have the individual freedom to speak out and to vote and to march and to associate and all this kind of stuff. But those freedoms also work in the negative. We have the freedom to like keep all our thoughts to ourselves. We have the freedom not to go out and vote. You have the freedom to sit at home and watch YouTube instead of vote, or things like that. So freedom is important. This one, the next two are like the biggest ones. So it would be like they don't care or they think it's just a bad system. So apathy would mean that people don't care. Like they don't even know. Like, they don't even know an election is taking place, or they don't care about the candidates. They don't follow this stuff at all. So like they're not going to vote. They're definitely not going to join a party, help a campaign, go to a town hall or something like that. Like they just don't care to do those things. And these people generally like don't know a lot about politics. Other people may be alienated. These people do know a lot about politics. They might know a lot. Like you might be really fed up with the electoral college, and that might be a reason why you just decide like, it's not worth voting. I live in Tennessee. My votes aren't going to matter in the electoral college. So like, why would I bother to vote? Like, that's a reason that people would choose not to vote. They think that their participation doesn't matter. Like, you may attend a few protests, and after you like don't see change take place, it might be easy to get alienated and decide like, what's the use? Like my participation isn't helping. So like apathy would be like the most likely cause for people that don't have a lot of political knowledge, but alienation would be like the reason for people that do have a lot of political knowledge. All right, and this is also pretty simple. You guys read about this. We've got two basic forms of political participation, and we just need to be able to explain like why people would do one over the other. So we have conventional and we have unconventional. And conventional participation, we call this like, there's really not like a great way to put this in words, but like I would just say that like these are ways that people are expected to participate. Like they're pretty low key. Like you're participating in a normal process. Like you're voting, you're joining a political party, you're donating to a campaign or something. These are all like just regular forms of participating in government and politics, but like they don't get attention. Like we don't send the news out to like just watch regular people vote. We don't send the news out to be like, oh my God, Kurt Rakestraw joined a political party today. Let's hear what he thinks. So conventional participation is just pretty normal. It's everyday stuff that we expect people to do. Unconventional participation, these are ways that we don't expect people to act. Like they're not really supposed to do this. It may be a little disruptive. And that's the point. It is disruptive, but it gets a lot more attention, right? So like a protest, there's nothing wrong with a protest. We don't mean that these things are illegal, but like a protest is a little disruptive, even standing on the sidewalk and yelling chants or whatever, like that's a little disruptive. Like a sit-in or a boycott kind of activity is a little disruptive, but the purpose is that you draw attention to the issue. So like conventional participation, you're not going to get any attention, but unconventional participation, you tend to get more attention. The point is to get the attention of other people and encourage them to participate. And let's just run through some examples of conventional participation. These are pretty straightforward. These are like the most common ways that people might choose to participate in politics. So the most obvious one is voting. This is the main way that people participate. This might be the only participation a lot of people do all year, but voting is the most common form of participation. Joining a political party, totally normal. Joining an interest group, same thing. Like these are basically the same activity. You like join an organization because you care. Contacting your congressman, like want to write a letter to your congressman about some issue in your community. That's a normal thing to do. Donating money to a campaign or working, like volunteering for a campaign. Those are regular old forms of participation. Like they're not going to like generate a lot of attention or anything. They're just normal parts of the system. Maybe you attend a town hall meeting. Maybe you speak up at a town hall meeting. You like raise a concern. Maybe you run for office yourself. Like, you choose to like run for city council or something like that. That's a form of conventional participation. And like we said, like these are just kind of expected behaviors. They don't generate a lot of attention, but they are important ways that people participate in politics. All right, so we've got a really basic understanding of political participation. Now we're going to look at a couple of other concepts. We're going to talk a little bit about like what motivates people to act, and we're going to look a little deeper at unconventional participation.